Welcome back to another exciting and thrilling restoration of an unusual motorcycle, or ATC, such as we have here. This is a 1983 Honda ATC70. Now, I've got just about everything else kind of completed, so I pulled this in and I'm going to give this a complete restoration. It's going to be a lot of fun. It looks fairly complete. There's not as much to these as like the 185 that I just did, and I love that 185. It came out really beautiful, but this one's got a little bit of work to do. So I'm going to do my normal complete picture, walk around. I do this every time I pull one in. I will spend 10-15 minutes and I'll just take pictures and I'll point to different things that may be confusing when I'm putting it back together, such as, like I'll point out this bracket down here. I'll point out this bolt. It's got a special washer. Anything that when I disassemble it, I'll have the little part in my hand. I'll go, oh, where does that go? Where does this little bracket and bolt go? Although I do bag them in and label them, it still helps to just take a picture of how everything goes together. So we will just get right to it, because I like to just rip through them as quickly as I can, which still turns into 2 or 3 hour video altogether. So this is segment 1 of the ATC70 1983 Honda. All right, it's getting torn down. Got a little play in the chain. Sprocket doesn't look like as bad as the 185 did. And this is out of adjustment. It should be right here. It's in neutral right now. It should be right here. So it's been off. And we've got the little covers off. I'm trying to get the brake cable out of there. And we've got this cover off of the brake drum. And a lot of other stuff stripped off. Pretty dirty. Look at that. Next, we're going to try and get the wheels and the brakes and the front fender, that sort of thing off. With the tires off, I was able to get the cover off here. But what a really good sign is that the grease is in really good shape on these axles, and they just come right off. It's very nice. I don't think there's a lot of hours on this. I really don't. I think it's just, cosmetic, sitting and sitting. So with these off, next we'll get this axle out, get the brakes out. Well, this is exciting. I was thinking, like the 185, this was a complete axle. And, to get them anodized or whatever, I'll plate them. I'd have to take it somewhere. They're just too long, to plate that whole shaft, which would really look cool. Well, the minute I took this off, look at this. It comes right off. I can plate this here right at the house. How cool is that? And the motor's out. It was just held in with 2 bolts. One here, one there. And got a really, really nice high-end guy here in Reno, Peter, who's going to help me basically just check out the motor. We're going to check every clearance, tolerance, that sort of thing. It's going to be literally new when we're done. Quite a difference. It's all taken apart, and I've got all the pieces all here. Got a lot of pieces here. So we'll dive into the next part of it. This is the segment here where we're going to be going into the engine. First thing we're going to do is we're going to change the oil, which I forgot to do when it was sitting in the frame. So I've got it up. I'm going to pull the drain, and we're going to drain the oil and start to disassemble the motor. We're on to the engine disassembly. So we're going to start with the top end and work our way in. Here's the cylinder head cover, and I've got a small box here, and I'm bagging all the bolts so that I know when I'm plating these where they go. So I'll plate those individually. And there's cover, and I've got a larger box with all the pieces. So we've got to get this side plate off, and that has loosened this up, get the cover off. And in order to get the head off, we need to get the cam chain out, and to do that, we need to take the flywheel off. So what I have is a Tusk 27 millimeter flywheel puller. So we'll get the flywheel. And remember, it is reverse threads on the big end here. And then normal, you just tighten that up and it puts pressure on the end of the crank and pops. The head is off. And you can look in there. You can see the valves. It's got a little carbon. Not sure if that's going to affect anything yet. But the piston looks shiny. Extremely shiny. And next I've got to get the cylinder out. But what we're looking for is any kind of rust that builds up in here in the bottom from sitting. So we'll know more when we get that cylinder off. I'm not going to go through every aspect of it, but the piston's off. The crank feels good. Got the side cover off. Now we got to get the clutch off, split the cases, and then we're going to inspect everything. I got set back about 5 days here because I needed this tool. And I got it on eBay, and it was, I think, 12 or 13 bucks is all. But that's what you need to get this clutch nut off. And it came off with my DeWalt real easy. So we're back in business. And we're going to see what we can do here about getting this torn down. Now there's a washer, and it's cupped, so it's like a spring washer. So, and it says this side out, or outside, the outside of the washer. And we'll get this, try and get this. Come on now. There we go. And that's the little retaining washer. Let's see how easy this comes off. Oh, there we go. So this is the clutch. I am not going to mess with this right now. I believe it doesn't take much to rebuild, and I'm going to look into that. I probably am going to. But they say if it goes one way but doesn't go the other, it's good. Or at least it's in there right. So it rotates this way, and it won't go backwards. So there you have it. There's the clutch. And that exposes our main or our primary, whatever they want to call it. And this is a little bushing. So I'm going to keep those two together. Now there's a clip here. I've got to remove this clip and this wheel should come off. Now this clip, everything I've heard is that you need to replace it. And then the wheel just comes off. And we're exposing the shift mechanism here. And they call this, I guess, a detent. And so we're going to get all these pieces off and the oil pump. We've got the oil pump off. That's it right there. I'm going to bag all of these in their individual bags. And we've got all of the detent and the shift shaft out. Now the shift shaft was a little rusty on the end. And I needed to tap it from the other side for it to come out of this hole. And all it was doing was being held up on the rubber seal, which we're going to replace anyway. And I always use a plastic hammer and just give it a couple love taps. It came out. Now this shim, I rotated this on my stand here, and this fell off, and it took me a little while to figure out where that went, but it goes here, and so we'll put that with all the clutch hardware there. Now on to the other. There is the cam chain tensioner. That's the outer cap, and that's the adjuster, or the adjuster, which came out of here and here, and it looks like it's going to stay in there when we split the cases, so I'm going to have to remember to put that back in before I put the cases back together. It just came apart super easy. And I always try and note where the bearings are sitting. You know, like this one here is flush with the outside, and this one here it's a little above the surface of that case. And the transmission, kind of taking a video of it here just in case I don't get it back together, or I'm going to try to keep it all in one piece here and pull it all out as one. All right, this side here is completely disassembled aside from the two bearings. So we'll have to do a lot of cleanup on that. And I'm going to put this, and we have a mystery dowel. The crank is out, and we'll check that. Next is to get the transmission lifted out. And I found the mystery little roller pins. They go right here on the hub. So all four of these come out. Only one came out. These are all coming out easily though. I just can't grab them with my gloves. So on to getting the tranny out. I could probably just bypass all of the experiments and problems, but I think it's better to just, be real about it. Nobody is get these things completely down unless they're doing them every day, and I doubt there's ATC70s done every day. Anyhow, this was keeping the transmission from coming out, and that's on the shift hub, I guess they call it, and so it was holding it in. The gears and these two counter shafts and all that was about to come out easily, but something was holding it in, and I looked at the schematic, and it's this right here. So just put a little, it's a 12 on the handy dandy impact, and voila, it's off. So I'm going to attempt this with no rehearsal. Unlike all the other videos, they'll get it all apart and they won't even show you how it came out. So now I'm thinking that's going to come out. And these two shafts, if I get them, it's almost there. There we go. See if I can get underneath it. hold them together. Yeah, a little rusty, you know. Yeah, it's just because they're rusty. I don't want to have this thing completely fall apart on me as I'm pulling it out. Nice and easy. I think it's moving. There we go. A little bit more. And there it is. Now there's a washer down here. And it doesn't look like there's one here. Of course, I'm going to check all that out when I put it back together. There's a little like brass washer there. So this, I'm going to lay it just like so. I'm going to try and keep this all together. Let's see if it'll stay. How's it going to stay? Like that? Maybe. And then we'll wrap it up. And this is a really good time to tag and bag. We've got the cases apart. Got the crank out. And we're gonna tag and bag all these pieces. And then one by one, we're gonna check out each component and then clean up the cases. So I will be back after everything is organized and labeled. I've got these long studs for the head and cylinder removed. And of course I'm going to replate all this stuff. But this is a perfect time to end this segment. And we have to now go to the parts department with Chico. We had a meeting earlier. You see, he's going over all of the parts here on the fish. See, he's diligently working. And he's double checking, because what we have here is a box from Rocky Mountain. And oh boy, look, Chico wants to make sure everything's in there. See, he's very, very diligent. Got some valve stem seals, or valve stems. Got some seals. Got a couple of, look at that, couple of grips. We got a foam piece, another gasket, and look at this, a brand new OEM carburetor. I know that's what it is. Chico, you're not helping. You're not helping at all. What, you don't like me in your office? Oh, what's that? That's a carburetor. Yeah. Oh, looky there. Look at that. Does it meet your, your criteria? Is this going to fit? I hope it fits, because you're on the hot seat here, Chico. It better fit. You're the one that ordered it. Okay, well, I'll get out of your office. So, it's time to end this segment. And we'll come back, because everything right now is torn apart completely. I mean, completely. Other than a few little things here or there. So, from here on out, it's cleaning, assessing, restoring, that sort of thing. So this is the last of the first segment. And if you're in Shingletown, just get ready, because Chico's coming to town.